Welcome to Engaging ESG, where we consider, challenge, and celebrate the evolving world of environmental, social, and governance communications. I'm Jennifer Owen, Senior Director of Marketing at Caesar.
And I'm Kati Callens, Global Sustainability Lead at Adobe. For Season 3, we're talking with climate communications leaders who are shaping the future of sustainability messaging. From connecting with stakeholders to crafting compelling impact stories, we'll uncover the strategies that worked and learn from those that didn't.
Whether you're a seasoned pro or new to the field, you'll find practical tips and insights in every episode.
And whether you're working on your first sustainability report or reimagining your organization's climate narrative, these conversations will help you navigate the complexities of ESG communications. Let's get started. Hello, Jen.
Hello.
I am so excited to be chatting this week with one of our esteemed guests, a former Metamigo at that.
Was that a thing?
I made it a thing.
Okay.
That we were asked, I don't know if you remember when they were trying to tell us to say Metamates, and I was
Yes,
like,
I do remember that. I didn't think
and I
that
was like, that's
either.
trash. As a comms professional, I'm going to rebrand ourselves into Metamigo. And it's kind of like Fetch. It never really happened, except for me.
Yeah, what did they rolled out like meta mates and me as like a corporate saying,
part
and
of
then
the
like,
rebrand.
and then fired a ton of people like a few months later.
Yeah.
we told you were the last one on the list.
Exactly. And that voice that you just heard is our special guest today. Someone that I like to call our favorite climate nerd from down under, Paull Young. So a little bit of background if you haven't had the pleasure of working with Paull like we have. Paull is currently leading sustainability at GitHub, where he's working to accelerate climate progress through open source development. But what we really think makes him such a fascinating guest, and part of the reason we want to invite him onto Engaging ESG today, is that his journey in this space. So started out raising $37 million as the digital chief at Charity Water, and then came to Facebook to help shape Instagram's early partnerships, and then came over to our team, the sustainability team at Meta, to drive climate initiatives in regards to products. So he's spent the last 15 years figuring out how to use tech to make the world better. And now he's gone all in on fighting climate change at another company. Welcome, Paull.
Welcome to Engaging ESG, Paull.
Great to be here. Two of my favorite humans to chat with. So I'm just happy we're together having a conversation.
Yeah, I know.
Great.
And not just on WhatsApp and being snarky to everyone we know.
I will accept snarky WhatsApps from any human at any time.
Oh my God, right? It's my favorite group by far. So, yeah.
Well, speaking of snark, I think it's important for us to hold space today.
Hold space for snark?
We're holding space for the snark because we've now achieved something that I call peak podcast.
Yes. What is it?
Which is Paull has a podcast called Climate Dads, and we're hosting him on Engaging ESG. And now the audio streaming circle is complete.
Yes. Truly.
It means
Infinite loop.
Microphone, which is good.
Yeah.
The first step.
Yes.
Especially with my accent. This is something anyone listening, don't do 1.5 speed because I get too excited and talk too fast with my Aussie accent anyway. So if you accelerate the speed, we're in big trouble. Slow it down, maybe 0.75.
Now that's a challenge. Let's bring that on. Let's see how fast we can speak as a fellow fast talker and see if we can blow some minds. Whoa. Well, as silly as we all are, we do have real things to talk about today, Kati.
Yes, it is true. Real. It's all real. Snark, sustainability, and all the S's in between.
Yeah, for sure.
So one of the go for it.
Started. No, go right ahead. We like
you think we don't host a podcast very often. We're talking over each other.
Yes, go right ahead.
Paull, you are the first sustainability hire at GitHub, which is exciting. And so we'd love to know a little bit more about what that means.
Yeah, great. So GitHub, we're the platform for developers. We're the home for software developers, right? Developers use GitHub to collaborate, to write code, the home of most open source projects. So pick any piece of tech, like even probably what we're recording on right now, what people are listening on, there'll be open source projects in the core of that, and they're probably hosted on GitHub. We also have an AI-powered coding assistant named Copilot now, which helps coders code faster and takes some of the gritty work of coding off their plate. GitHub was acquired by Microsoft about 3 to 4 years ago. And so as we've grown as a company and matured, we were acquired, and Microsoft have an amazing sustainability team.
Right.
When we worked at Meta, I used to always love their stuff. We'd look at like how
Yes.
meaty and serious the commitments were. They're one of the largest purchasers of renewable energy in the world. They're one of the largest purchasers of carbon removals. Like there's a big
Yes.
team doing all sorts of things. And as a subsidiary, there's certain things that a typical sustainability team would have to do if we're an independent company that we don't have to do because we can't. So we can't do our own sustainability report. We can't release our own numbers because there would be double counting and auditing problems. Many of those things like the CDP submissions and all that, those things you need to do that are serious for sustainability, they happen at the corporate level. So part of that's why there hadn't been a formal person in the seat of sustainability at GitHub, but a lot was happening because of the Microsoft connection. My role, so it's the first role of doing sustainability. They've been building it internally for a while with lots of different volunteer efforts and staff across the company. I sit on the social impact team at GitHub, which rolls up into our chief legal officer, which I think is interesting because, every time you talk to someone in sustainability, there's positioned somewhere else in the company.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah.
When we were at Meta, we were in the infrastructure team, like buried down the org chart, like 12 VPs deep or wherever we were. It depends. Different orgs have different places for sustainability. We sit in the legal department. And the social impact team, has various principles at GitHub, but I'm one pillar in environmental sustainability. We have a skilling effort. So how can we help software developers around the world, particularly adapt up to these new AI coding tools and get ready for the next evolution in computing? Humanitarian response, where can we help there? We do have a big volunteering. We match all employee donations and donate volunteer time. So we do a lot of engagement with our employees as well. So that's kind of where we sit in. What is that? So what's interesting is because we don't have to do all the standard rigmarole. So it's not like I was the first sustainability hire and I need to work out, okay, how do we start carbon accounting from scratch?
Mm-hmm.
And what's our footprint and what matters? Because that happens, we are able to expand our ambition a little bit and really think about our superpower, which is developers collaborating. So when we think about our sustainability strategy at GitHub, we have 3 pillars. There's a lot of G's for alliteration because we like a bit of alliteration.
Bring it on. I love it.
We think about greening GitHub. So how do we reduce our operational footprint as we scale? How do we be as efficient and sustainable as possible in everything we do?
Right.
Particularly our data centers and our software, because we're a remote company and we don't have a physical product. So it's the data centers that we really need to think about. But we have events and lots of things. How do we reduce our environmental impact? Traditional sustainability, align with Microsoft's goals to be carbon negative by 2030, water positive by 2030, 90% zero waste, and protect more land than we use. So that's the Microsoft commitments. The other 2 pillars, which I think are really exciting, where we could probably have even more impact, I hope. The second is green our industry. And so how can we help every software developer make their code and their software greener, more energy efficient, carbon aware? There's this emerging field of green software. How can we help every developer know about green software? And how can we help the tools, many of which are open source tools that are on GitHub, accelerate, be adopted more, be used more? Because if we can help bring down a percentage of the overall footprint of computing, that's way bigger than our footprint as a company.
Right.
And the third pillar, green the globe, for an extra G. How can we support climate positive open source projects on GitHub? So we've done some mapping and there's about 10,000 different projects, and there's everything from open source tools to help model weather patterns, to monitor forests, to optimize solar panels. There's a cool thing called AB streets, where you could imagine if you had more public transport in a street, like how would that perform over time? So there's all these cool software. How can we lift that up in an impactful way? So that's all us, all developers. How can we help developers have the biggest positive impact on climate? That's what sustainability means at GitHub.
So does that mean now going from like the conversations you were having, like you were working on like regenerative ag apps and all this interesting stuff at Meta, and now you're talking to the people making those apps? Is that the bridge? Like, who are you conversing with now?
That's a good reach. Yes, we're trying to reach developers. So software developers, but in the next generation of computing, there's going to be way more developers. It's one of our beliefs as a platform. Our CEO, Thomas Donkey, did a TED talk, and he talked about this like moonshot aspiration to have a billion software developers on GitHub, which is a crazy big number compared to the number of developers in the world today. But there's things like natural language coding, and there's going to be a whole new generation of folks who can code who may not have been able to before. Like we could become developers. So, but that's who we're trying to reach and that's who we're trying to power. And software powers everything.
Yeah.
And so when I think about the climate problem, I think about all humanity has to change, right? Like we have all these machines that need to change. I think about this great Australian academic, Saul Griffith, wrote a book called Electrify. And he has this great methodology of looking at every machine in the world that needs to change, like every vehicle that needs to be electric, every house that needs to be on an electric heat pump, not on a diesel furnace. And if you extrapolate those numbers, what needs to happen to hit the 2050 goals to keep us somewhere near the Paris Agreement and avoiding the worst of climate change? So we need this societal change, but software can power everything. We're already seeing it. And so my belief is, yes, we need to minimize our footprint as much as possible as a company, but just doing the sustainability stuff and not thinking about the impact we could have through our platform, we'd be missing the boat on the big change we need to make. And so even for the mission of our program, we think about our mission for sustainability at GitHub is to accelerate climate progress through developer collaboration. And we chose the word climate instead of the word sustainability because we wanted that tilt of it's not just our operations, it's how can we have an impact on the world through what our tools enable, which is software.
I really like that. I went through a program at the University of Cambridge, and their whole point around sustainability marketing is putting long-term well-being at the center of everything you do. And it sounds like that's exactly where you guys are putting the pin in it and then radiating out from it. That's really cool.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
And, I think it's also, hopefully we align more with the business priorities, and the business is all about the developers. And so we're more on that side.
Right.
So that's the bet. We're early, right? I started in April, so it's less than a year into the program. But the first thing we did, we launched the Green Software Directory on GitHub, which is just a list of all of the tools that exist, basically sized everything and promoted them. And now for green software, for the Green Our Industry pillar, we're trying to work out how can we help more people adopt those tools.
Yeah.
And then this Earth Month in April, we're going to be doing some cool stuff around promoting and sharing out the ways developers can take action through supporting open source projects. So I'm pretty excited about that.
And so what are you seeing in terms of interest from the developer community? It's one thing to say, like, you're on our platform and we have these like resources for you. But as we all know from folks who have driven sustainability strategy within companies, there has to be interest and buy-in in many levels of an organization. And so how would you characterize like kind of the developer community in terms of interest in greener software?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's certainly a nascent field. It's early. Like my bet, and I've been looking for like harder research on this, but it doesn't even necessarily exist. But my bet would be if I could commission a huge research task, I think I'd come back and there'd be like a couple of % of software developers are familiar with green software. But it's the type of thing that lands really well. And I think it's just an extrapolation of the things we know to be true for society, is that people really care about climate. They're really worried about climate. They don't know what to do. And when they know something to do, when they can give them something really tangible they can do, they love it. They want to do it. They'll run to it. A couple of data points, though. I did an internal survey of our staff when I started and got about 10% of the company to respond. Pretty deep survey about like where they were and how they felt about it. And it came back like what I probably would have hoped for, that my hubbers, my staff broadly like wanted to take action, but didn't really know what they could do that mattered. And so that's been one piece. And then we did a early partnership with a group called Major League Hacking that engaged software developer students. And we promoted green software to them. We did like just education on green software. And they ran some surveys and they saw like off the chain results of them wanting to learn more, being excited about the content and seeing it out there. So I think it's new. The other interesting thing on them, I haven't seen like huge amount of clients banging the door down, because the clients are like IT departments around the world saying like, we need to do this. More of it coming from Europe. My gut is part of the reasoning is you've got a sustainability team and an IT team that are probably very far away in the org chart in most companies in the world. And the sustainability teams are doing the right thing, which is starting from the top of their carbon emissions and working down. And the computer emissions are like not that big compared to everything else in a business, right? And so they just like haven't necessarily maybe got there yet to like come in and ask about that. But I think the more pilots we run, the more we're going to see people bite on this, which is the same in my whole career in this space. Is what we're seeing, right? We do a film at Meta with creators and we would do one on the climate one, and that one would resonate really well and people would love it. And it would just be true again and again and again, particularly when it focuses on solutions.
Yeah. Do you find yourself telling the same stories? Like, does it repeat or are the stories changing? Like what you're having to educate on around these issues?
Yeah, it's highly technical now. Too
Is it?
technical for me.
Yeah.
I'm leaning on my developer side here. I've got sitting here, I actually have palm cards from when I did a talk for, I think it was the Major League
Isn't
Hacking
that
one,
funny?
about our top
Yeah.
10 green software tools. And I had to write things like, there's a tool called Kuba Green. It auto shuts down Kubernetes resources in off hours. So all of these I had to
Well, everyone knows
go
that.
to
Come on.
go to Copilot and be like, explain to me what a Kubernetes resource is. Explain to me.
Right.
Okay, take that explanation and explain it to me as if I'm a child. Okay,
Yeah,
and then so
exactly.
I've been doing a lot of that. So
A younger child. No, even younger, please.
even younger, even more like a spot book version, if you can do that.
A graphic novel, if you would.
Yeah, so I'm still it's the most developer centric in my whole career, which I kind of love because I
Yeah.
do love developers. One of the things I found though is that developers really want to go and build something. They want to go and do something.
Right.
And so we're
Rather
trying to
than
be very
just talk about
tools
it.
and yeah. They don't want to read a PDF white paper
Mhm.
report, They want to
But
get
I'm
into
so good at making PDF white papers.
yeah, let me pump this code into my machine and get a number back and work out how to optimize the number.
Yeah.
That's the piece.
Yeah.
So
Hands-on.
so it's it's like always, you got to find your audience, understand the audience, and then
Understand their
find the
language.
mutual benefit.
Yep.
Well, and Paul, two things came up while you were saying that. One is what you're saying about the fact that there's sustainability teams within these orgs, and then there's also software developers, right? We definitely have that at Adobe. I wonder if there's a future of your programmer work where you guys basically do a matching system where you come into companies or provide us with ideas and resources about how sustainability teams and developer teams can talk to each other better or have those resourcing. Because I know sustainability teams are strapped, and we definitely have folks on our cloud computing side that are interested in this. And I'll get random pings from engineers, but I don't know what I should necessarily be pushing them to, because in my mind, as you noted, I'm not an expert on software development, but maybe that's also for down the line,
Yeah.
how sustainability teams can help their developer teams push out some of the resources maybe that y'all are working on.
Yeah, I think that's cool. I mean, it's in the line of every job can be a climate job.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
developers too. For us, the first way we're looking at it is part of the internal piece. And we have an existing team that does performance engineering and helps do efficient code. And they're all about saving CPU use and using less resources. Because we have finite data center space and things, and you need to do that. But every time you save a CPU, it also doesn't require energy into it. And if you do that job really good at long-term scale, your company could be multiples more efficient, and therefore you need less data centers, and that's less steel, less cement, less chips, less energy.
Mhm.
So we've been partnering up very closely. And one of the funny things is, we don't really have anything publicly to talk about yet, but just a lot of internal work. But I was listening to a podcast, there's a good green software podcast called Environmental Variables. And they did an interview with some of the WordPress open source project team that they'd done this sustainability movement. And they'd partners with the performance engineering team to do the same work. And I was driving my car in LA and being oh, that's very funny. It sounds like the same thing we're doing. And so,
Oh, cool.
but the thing is there are efficiencies everywhere that just haven't been seized, or maybe they are being, but people don't quite realize. And so I think some of it is just giving people the toolings and the metrics and the ways to have these tactical wins. I'll give you another example. We have a major event called GitHub Universe. It's a big customer conference, and this year we did a waste audit. And our events team's really cool, and they're already doing all this cool stuff to minimize waste at the event. They had a partner that recycled the cabling, and they donated a lot of the sets, and they'd been thoughtful. But we did this waste audit, which if anyone's done event sustainability, this is common, but to me, I'd never done it before. And it was awesome because there were these cups that weren't compostable and these ones that were, and this is what, and now we have the metrics, and now we're able to get really geeky on all right, that's our mission for this year's event, and where can we innovate? And seeing that a really smart team is doing really cool stuff with events, the event contractor, we were on a call the other day, and he's this is my favorite meeting I've had in planning so far. And
This
it
is
was just
concrete. This has got numbers. This has an outcome we can achieve. I love it.
Yeah. So I don't know. That's the optimist in me, but I do believe that people want that, and frequently there's business benefit. we do performance engineering well, we save cash.
Right.
We know this in sustainability. It's not always the case. Like there are green premiums out there, but there's ways to have a better experience, to have an efficiency win, to save money whilst driving a benefit in terms of your goals for sustainability.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, speaking of controversial software.
Yes, take us there, Katie. We want to know.
Yeah. We have to talk about the A in the room, the A of the I in the room. Friend or foe, Paul? Would you say this is a realistic solution or simply a
Are we
smokescreen
non-binary?
for dramatic consumption increase? People have many hot takes. We want to hear yours.
AI overall. Oh, yeah, it's a big one.
Obviously within the sustainability lens as well. But
yeah, totally. Yeah. Now, coming from I am a optimist by nature, and I've been in new tech has been the thing for me forever, and using tech for social good has been my whole career, something I've been doing for 2 decades. So I think that kind of sits me where I might land. But firstly, AI is here to stay, and it's going to transform everything. And so as sustainability people, we can either get with the program or not. Like it's driving the stock market, it's driving government choices, like it ain't going anywhere. So there's going to be huge amounts of AI. That's a given. I believe there's massive potential for good in AI because it can speed everything we need to do. We need to speed and scale. We need to have impactful climate impacts across every sector of the economy, every part of it as fast as possible. And AI can do this. And I think the efficiencies AI can drive across the whole economy and the ways it can make things smarter and better and faster, that they can provide massive opportunities. Like, here's a case in point. Google have this great example. They talk about a lot about AI partnerships they've done with airlines. And I've always thought a lot about flying because it's my guilty carbon footprint budget, right? Like I have family not where I live. I have to fly to Australia to see them, and hence my solar panels on the roof and my e-bike and my electric car, and my lack of red meat eating don't really matter because I fly so much. Contrails are something like 30% of the CO2 pollution that comes from flying.
Mm-hmm.
And they only occur in certain weather conditions. And so what Google's been partnering with airlines to do, like I think British Airways and American, is if you just know what the weather's going to be in real time, which AI can do, which we could never do before because we couldn't forecast it in real time at the scale, and you can just fly at a different altitude. You burn the same fuel, you get to Heathrow at the same time, nothing changes, plane just flies down a bit, there's no contrail, 30% less carbon. Wow. So those types of wins, they're everywhere. And those are the examples that get me really, really excited. Personally, when we were on the Meta team, we'd had this idea that we wanted to build a bot for creators to access sustainability knowledge, because we kept hearing from creators who were doing awesome communications. It was really hard to know if they were telling the right thing and how to go and research. They spent all this time. And it was one of those things that was a cool idea and was never going to get on the list for engineering. I just look at it and be like, there's no way I'm going to get an engineer to work on that for a few months. And then I was spending a lot of time with ChatGPT after it came out, and then they launched their custom GPTs. I built it in 2 hours in an afternoon, something that did that.
Yes.
I'm non-technical. And I was like, holy cow. So there's all these wins, right? So that's where I believe in the power of every individual being superpowered through AI. I'm more of a believer than good. And yes, bad things can happen too. But we're here, so we've got to bet on the good. The second part of the puzzle is, so what about the energy use of AI? And energy use for AI is growing rapidly. Like if you look at all tech, and it's going to happen in the next few sustainability reports, we're building more data centers, there's more concrete, more cement, more power in them. Yes, that's going to go up. And when you hear people in the grid, particularly in certain regions where they're data center heavy, that there might be more gas plants coming online, yes, these things are happening. The best thing I read, though, to kind of look at the big picture, Hannah Ritchie, who writes Our World in Data, Irish woman, she's brilliant. They do all sorts of great data visualizations. She has I think it's a Substack, it's one of the blog sites. She did one on looking at AI energy use and energy use overall. And at the moment, when you look at computing is about 5% of world's emissions. But when you think about everything computing does in the world,
right?
It drives the whole economy. It's how I was checking purple air monitors after the LA fires to know if it was safe for my kids to go outside. It's everything. It's we're streaming Severance at night. It's all these pieces. All of that is about 5%. So the value society gets from this percent of total emissions, that trade-off makes sense to me. And so, yes, we're going to see more energy use. Now, I believe the good thing about this for AI in particular, as opposed to maybe Bitcoin, which I don't, the energy use I'm not as much of a fan of,
Mhm.
is that much of AI growth currently is being driven by big tech companies that have serious carbon commitments and serious renewable energy commitments.
Right.
Microsoft,
Right. That's an
Amazon,
interesting point, right?
Google, Meta.
Yeah.
And so you're actually just bringing like even more capital into renewable energy. Yes, there's gas and stuff as well,
Yeah.
but like you're seeing like Microsoft just reopened 3 Mile Island and got more nuclear. So anyway, that's
As someone who
a
grew up in
hopeful lens.
Cleveland, that one worries me, but okay. I was there for 3 Mile Island. Thank you very much.
Oh, yeah, I kind of love nuclear, so
I do too. It's
yeah.
the Scott Galloway says like the worst branded product
Yeah,
ever, whatever.
totally.
But still, also having grown up in Cleveland in the 70s, it was really scary.
Yeah. So I don't like, yeah, it is. We need to be really careful about it.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
ideally, we can do it in as high growth as possible without turning on a bunch of gas plants or burning more coal or anything. And, that's the challenge. That's why it's not smart to do things like not have more wind power because we need more all sorts of
Right.
all energy. But,
Yeah. I like the ROI argument of like what we get for that percentage versus other
That's right.
things we're spending that percentage on. I like that. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've read, sorry, go for it.
No, go ahead.
Just that the predictions are that it'll be around 13% of our energy consumption by 2030, I think is what they had, but that might be waning now.
But I think every energy projection's always been like completely wrong. No matter what. Like the IEA is like,
no one's going back and being like, hey.
Look at IEA reports. I listen to one good podcast and there's a guy who's been analyzing internet energy use for the last like 15 or 20 years.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he was pointing out in that in the 90s, we assumed that right now today, internet use was going to be like half of humanity's energy use.
Wow.
Right? Because imagine before
Right.
streaming.
And cell phones were going to be this big.
Yeah. Imagine before streaming that we had an idea that we would have like internet streaming into our home and all of us were going to watch like 1 billion hours of Netflix a year. And what we would have assumed.
And the computers would just get bigger and bigger instead of smaller and smaller.
Yeah. Like imagine you showed someone back then that, what I do is I work in my closet and I get on a video call all day, every day. They'd be like, oh my God, you have a nuclear reactor in your basement? Like, how does that operate?
What? Yeah.
So, but yes.
So many
serious concerns. and then grids are hard, right? So it's like, it's the edges and it's so all these things are true at once and it's contingent on humanity to do the right thing, which is the same as the bloody tools, right? Like, how do we try and accelerate the good pro-climate things, transitioning where we need to go and not like make sure that like oil and gas are like, oh, sweet, here's the way to like drill out the most efficient oil.
We don't
in
have
the
to
world.
worry about this. It's all handled. Don't worry about it. Silly people. Well, as an optimist, where are you spending your time to keep your optimism up? Like we'd like to always kind of end on like, what are you reading? And we've been talking a little bit about that, but what are some of your go-to spots for like, now that's a new way of thinking that keeps me engaged?
I really am spending a lot of time on like all things climate and AI. And so like I dig on those. I dig on, I'm subscribed to a ton of different environmental podcasts, anything that's sort of that angle that pops up. There's a great group called Climate Change AI, a nonprofit. We've funded them a little bit from GitHub. They when I was at Climate Week last year, the coolest events I went to were Climate Change AI. And they had like a researcher summit. And there's a whole bunch of different academic researchers that were like applying AI for climate in really different ways and like doing things that wow me. And like those were kind of the edge cases that would get me all jazzed. So like I think the humans using these new tools in ways to have accelerated impact, that's the thing that gets me really excited and try to like uncover those and hopefully find ways as a corporate to help accelerate them.
Yeah.
And the specifics is what I hear you saying. I think a lot of the fears around the AI work, while very valid, a lot of it can be quite amorphous about just like this unknown, but like really grounding yourself in like how are conservation organizations using AI, right? We were just talking about that the other day. How are other organizations like really using the applicability to help us not get into future tripping mode?
Yep. This whole sector, like the antidote to climate despair is climate action. Yeah. And really specific actions and solutions are like what people want to see. Like I was it internally, like I had a call with the Xbox sustainability lead, like a sister company in the Microsoft universe. and I didn't know anything they were doing. And they've avoided like 1 million tons of CO2e from different things they've done, like giving game developers like an A/B testing tool so they can create their like video screen where the guy with the sword tells you to go off on a quest.
Yeah.
And if they did it if the menu loads in a slightly different way,
They say
gameplay doesn't get hurt at all, but the chip runs less, and that drops like a small fraction of energy time. But the total volume of time people using their Xbox is like not dissimilar to the amount of time people are on Netflix, which I'm going to assume neither of you two are gamers. Like I'm not either. So like we don't really know that world. But like seeing that like really specific tool and the specific small wins that add up when you give people the tools, like that's the type of stuff that I want to see everywhere. And like the cups at an event do matter. Like you can get really excited about it, and like getting someone to go and do the coolest and most innovative thing than not have like 2,000 coffee cups thrown in the trash.
Yeah.
Go do that.
Well, and it's 2,000 coffee cups and it's 2,000 moves in the Xbox, and it's just all adding up. That's concrete and that's exciting. I like that.
Definitely.
I don't know about you, Katie. I know you don't like that stuff.
No, I don't like fun or games at all. Anti-fun league. Well, with that, I think that's a great note to end on. So we'll just say thank you, Paul, for joining us on the pod.
Thanks, gang.
It's been such a delight to have you and your witty insights and accented voice. We will put a link to Climate Dads, your podcast, in the show notes so folks can follow up and hear more from you as well.
Thank you for joining us on Engaging ESG. Have a question for us to consider or a strategy you'd like us to cover? Email us today at engagingesg@gmail.com.
Please remember to rate, review, and subscribe to Engaging ESG today. It helps us grow, and even better, be sure to share the podcast with your favorite sustainability, diversity, or social impact colleague. And until next time, keep engaging.
This podcast is part of the Sound Advice FM network. Sound Advice FM, women's voices amplified.